I used to absolutely hate drawing backgrounds, and I was never bothered to even work on them. Here I drew the Zuko, and you can see the pathetic attempt at drawing flames. It just looks terrible and careless. Whereas in the newer one, the background is quite well done, or at least the improvement is very noticeable, and I think it was only 5 months that passed between the creation of these two pieces. So yeah, I'll be going through 7 things or steps for drawing backgrounds in Krita. I'll be doing this in Krita, but these can be applied to other drawing programs as well. And I'll be giving you some additional tips for drawing backgrounds in general and talk about why they're important and why I started to enjoy drawing them. The first thing is to block out the shapes. I much prefer doing this to doing the background as a sketch like my character, and if you do have a character, do not colour them in before you have the colours of the background blocked in, as they may look out of place if you do them first. Of course, you can still kind of do the background around the character and think about it, but I find that much more difficult. So at this stage, have your canvas small, or at least have the whole thing visible, so don't just zoom in on one part, so that you can see the whole thing, and keep your lines crisp. Use a brush preset that only changes its size and not opacity with a pressure sensitivity, or use any selection tool than bucket fill. I'm doing a simple 1-point perspective here. So get your main colours sorted out here, and I wouldn't have more than 6 main blocks of colour. 2, 3 or 4 is probably enough. And if you were to squint or look at your work from very far away, then these blocks of colour should look right as a background. Do not go into the next step if you aren't satisfied with what you have here, because backgrounds do not need detail to look good, and detail won't save them. If the colours, the perspective, the composition, if any of that is off, the detail won't save it. So work on this bit a little bit. Number 2 is the light source, and this would usually be the sky. So if you have one in your image, do that first, and I do it on a layer underneath everything else just because it will make your life a lot easier. So for this sky here, I use blender_blur to blend out the clouds, and the pencil/4_soft brush presets in Krita, and you can just search these in the brush thingies. So if it's a room, then work on the walls and think about how light will hit the walls and from which direction. Is it coming from a window? Is the light dim, or is it strong? And what colour is your light? So really just think about where the light is coming from, because that's just really important. And you always have a light source, even if it isn't obvious. Just draw it first, or just really think about it. You know, if it's the sun and it's like right up in the sky and it's lighting everything equally, then you still know that, and I think you could still just kind of make the top part a bit lighter to just indicate for yourself. And so yeah, I just said that the light can also change the colour of your picture. So here I did the sun, and it's kind of sunsetty, so because the sky is orange and everything, the road and the buildings are also kind of orange. If it was a night scene, then the buildings could be a little more purple. So yeah, the colour of the light itself, the direction, think about that and establish that, because then your picture will just look more right because you have the lighting established. And if you add any objects, then you'll know how to add the shadows. Number 3 is refining shape. So I was working on the mountains and later just making the individual buildings, because initially it was just one block. And I'm still using that same pencil for soft brush. I'm using that for the entire thing actually. And I am doing this refining thing on a new layer. So here you can zoom in a little more, and yeah, there really isn't much to say about this step. Number 4 is to add any shadows, and I may be jumping from step to step a little and doing things a bit differently, but that's just because I might be doing one part separately, so complete a couple of steps on that bit and then moving on to the other ones, so I'm not like, okay, one step for the whole thing, then the next one. I might be like doing them a bit separately. Okay, anyway, here I suggest that you add the darkest shadows you see and then do the ones that gradually get lighter. So the darkest shadow I saw here was the one on the walls of the houses where they were separated, and where, like, you know, there's the alleyway between them, and then that shadow was almost dark purple. So here you can add any other colours like I did for the walls and roofs of the houses, so not shadows, just like other colours, because, you know, the roofs were another colour, and then also where there was that little, on the right hand corner, you know, there's the bottom one, there's like that stone, so I needed to add a little bit of grey there, so add those different colours. And for a shadow, I actually made the bottom of the picture darker with the road, you know, and I actually had another layer that was said to multiply. And building on to that point, I actually think that I know you can add another layer and it's said to multiply and do the shadows like that. I didn't do it that way, but you can if you want to. Number 5 can go before if you use a multiply layer for the shadows, but if you don't, then I mean, it can go after even if you use a multiply layer, but it definitely can't go before if you don't use a multiply, if you don't set your shadow layer to multiply. Okay, so this step is adding texture. Now here I use that exact same pencil tool again, just a small size, and I tried adding more texture to the grey stones, the walls, and also the roofs. So I used a darker version of the original colour, but I would also change the hue itself. You can turn the colour wheel either way, but I usually turn it anti-clockwise. I mean, I go that way. So red shadows are more purple, blue shadows are a bit grainy, and then yellow shadows are a bit red, and so on. This step is a bit fiddly because it's very small, but still don't get too caught up in details. So step 6 is really just to refine things and add details. Although regularly look at your image as a whole. Again, don't get caught up on details. I just really want to stress that because it has happened to me that I just don't look at the image as a whole and I'm just zoomed in, and then I work on it for hours and then I look at it like as one big picture and I messed up really bad, so I just don't want that to happen to you. And backgrounds are really important, and I just think that they make your image so much better if done correctly. They can give your image a really good atmosphere and make it convey an emotion, like if you want to convey sadness, joy, like you want it to look mysterious, or like peace, or anything. So you saw me colour Zuko only after I had the background, and actually, well, I did cut it out, but I did the lighting on Zuko completely wrong, and that was because I didn't first think about the sun, and I only went in after, making sure the light came from behind Zuko. So yeah, that just shows how important think about your lighting is. So yeah. Oh, and also, I really recommend you don't leave backgrounds completely last like I did not that long ago actually. I always left them very last. I always recommend you do at least the first step before doing your character or anything else. Just block it out. You don't need to complete the background before doing your character, just have it blocked out, because then you'll actually kind of enjoy doing it, because I don't really enjoy doing it because I had no idea what to do. And it's just really discouraging to look at it and have no idea. So if you just have even just a little idea, it's going to save your life, it's going to save my life, and we're going to live happily ever after with our background drawings. The very last step is to add any adjustment layers or to change the color balance or anything if you want to change something. So you can add overlay, layers and overlay mode, or I did a color dodge. I think it was color dodge, yeah, because I wanted to like add a little bit of highlight on the houses. So I did that, and just add any extra layers to make the background just as you dreamed it or just pictured it in your head. So I really hope this video helped you and you're gonna have fun drawing your backgrounds in Krita, Clip Studio Paint, Photoshop, Firewall Packer, Procreate, I don't know, and anything. Have fun, and if you have any more questions, please ask in the comments. If something wasn't clear, I'll answer as best as I can. Like the video, subscribe if you want to, and just have a beautiful day, beautiful people. I really am happy that you watched the video, and yeah, bye bye.